Hello everyone, my name is Himanshu Sharma and in this video we will set up a simple Spring Boot application which will interact with our Mongo database using Reactive API. Let's get started and let's open Spring Initializer website for our initial code base. So I am on the Spring Initializer website and I have selected Maven project, language Java, version 2.7.0. You can specify your group artifact and name, packaging jar. Java, I'm selecting version 17. In dependencies, we need Spring Reactive Web, Spring Data Reactive MongoDB. You can click on Generate and download the project, and you can open it in your favorite IDE. So now let's move on to our IDE. This is our project. Let me navigate you through. So on the left hand side, you can see I have created a user record, a user repository, a Mongo controller, and a user service. And for configuration, I have application.yaml file. So currently I am on Spring Mongo application, which is the generated code I got. And we don't need to make any changes over here. So first let's create a record. I have created a user over here, public record user. And a user will comprises of an ID and an email. I have annotated it with document and the collection we will be using is user. So since we are working on Java 17, we can use record. If you are working on older version of Java, you can create a simple DTO using these annotations. So corresponding to user, I have created a user repository. It will extend reactive Mongo repository. Moving on to the user service. So in the user service, I'm using user repository to perform all my interaction with MongoDB. We have all method, get method, update, delete, and create. In short, we can create a user, delete a user, update a user, get a particular user, or list all of users in our database. The all method will use find all, get will use find by ID, update will first find the user based on the ID and then update that record with a new email. Delete will find that record and delete it. Create will create a new user with a random ID and the provided string. I have used email also as a random UUID string as part of controller code. So that's all in the user service. Let's move on to our controller. This is a REST controller and it will have corresponding methods as per our user service. So we have an all endpoint, get endpoint, update endpoint, delete endpoint, and create endpoint. And for simplicity, I just use get mapping for all of them. And that's it. That's the whole Java code we need to write. Now for configuration, let's move on to application YAML. Here I'm specifying Spring Data MongoDB and these are the connection details. Host will be localhost and port is 27017. I expect all my collection to be saved in the database name as Spring Mongo and our application will run on port 8080. So far so good. We created a controller which will expose different endpoints. Those endpoints will interact with our user service and user service will use the user repository and then perform all the manipulation of our database objects. Now let's set up Mongo database on our local and for that we will be using Docker. Let's head to our browser. If you have Docker installed on your machine, it's fine. If not, you can install Docker from here, Docker desktop, you can download it and it's just a simple download and installation step, no additional configuration required. That's it. So once you are done with the installation of Docker, you can open a terminal or a command line if you are on Windows and you can check docker-v that okay you have the Docker version installed. Now to run MongoDB in a Docker container, you have two approaches. If you have newly installed Docker, you can simply go to your Docker dashboard, which looks like this, and over here you get this MongoDB image. It's on your home page itself, and you can just click on run and it will pull the MongoDB latest image. Or if you are not getting this option, the other approach is go to your browser and you can download the Mongo official image from here, and you just need to write this command docker pull mongo. So let's head to our terminal and docker pull mongo. So if you can see over here, it's saying using default tag latest, and it pulled the latest Mongo image. So let's see if we get the image, docker images. And yes, we have a Mongo image. Now we have an image, but we need to create a container from this image. And for that, we instruct Docker to do that. So Docker run in detached mode, and the name of our container, let's say Mongodb, and we want port of that container to be mapped with the same number in our local machine. And then we say Mongo, the image name. So what's happening over here? We are saying Docker to run a container using this Mongo image, and when Docker runs a container using this image, inside the container, the Mongo database will run on port 27017. But to expose that same port on your local, because you need to interact with your local port. So let's quickly head back to our IDE just for one thing. Let me open the YAML. So over here we say 27017. So what this means is it will refer this port on my machine. And over here, if I don't specify this mapping, 27017 will be running inside a container, but 27017 port of my machine is not aware. So if I don't specify this, you have a Mongo container running, but whatever is happening inside that is not mapped to your actual machine port, and so any outside application will not be interact with it. Let's execute our command. Let's press enter. And there we go. We have a container running. Let's see. Docker ps. We have a container running using image Mongo, and its name is Mongodb. Now, using this 27017 configuration, we can test whether our Mongo DB is actually set up or not. And for that, even before going to our application, you can download a simple MongoDB Compass, which is a client for MongoDB interaction. So let's head to our browser, and from here you can download MongoDB Compass. I have downloaded it, installed on my machine. It's a simple installation. Let's head to our MongoDB Compass. And here we are trying to make a connection on localhost 27017 port. Let's see if we are able to make it. And yeah, we have our connection and it's working. You can see over here it comes with three pre-configured database: admin, config, and local. Let's try stopping our container. Docker stop mongo doc. So our container is stopped. You can check over here ps. Here you can see that the status is exited 4 seconds ago. Now head back to MongoDB and try to reconnect, or yeah, try to reconnect. And we are getting connection refused because our container is not up. So right now you have a container named Mongodb, and you just need to start that container, and that is your Mongo database on your local. Now let's try again. And here we have our Mongo database running locally in a Docker container with just few commands. Let's revisit the Docker steps. We install the Docker desktop, we pull Mongo image, and then we create a container using our Mongo image. And once that's done, we have a container running with name mongodb, and we can simply start and stop this container. And this is the one which we will use for our application development. So right now our Mongo database is running on our local using Docker. Now let's head back to our application and just run our application. So if you see, I have defined a database Spring Mongo, but if we go onto Mongo Compass, there is no such database as of now. So whenever we initiate our first query of creating any document, it will automatically get created. Yeah, so our server is running on port 8080. So let's go to terminal, and since we just have get endpoints, it will be very less code to test any of our endpoint. So let's see, let's create some objects. Yeah, we created one, two. If you see, the objects are getting created and there is no error over here. Are we creating the object or they are just simply showing me? Let's see in the Mongo database and just refresh our connection, and here we go. We have a Spring Mongo. Let's open it and we have a user collection. Let's click on it, and yes, we have all four records which we have created so far. Let's try our other endpoints. Let's say I want to get this one. So we say get, enter, yeah, it's working. Now let's say update. I want to update this one, and the expectation over here is whenever I execute the update endpoint, it will change the email for this user. So currently it's sending with 311b.com. Let's enter, and yes, it changes to 6da3. Let's try to fetch it again, and yes, we have the updated one. Now I want to delete this user, and yes, it returns me the object. Let's see, we should not get this user again. So yeah, we are not getting that, and we expect that in the compass also the count should be reduced to 3. So let's refresh, and yes, we are able to perform all of our CRUD operations. Yeah, that's it. That's all we need to set up MongoDB on our local. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. For any suggestions and feedback, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you.